Hi boys and girls, I'm here with my dog Teddy again, and this week we're going to work on a different skill, and we're going to work on something called author's purpose. And we worked on this a little bit in class already, where we read a book and we talked about how author's purpose is when the author writes a story for a reason. And you can see all the little pies here. It spells P-I-E, is pie. And the author writes a story for 3 reasons: either to persuade us, inform us, or entertain us. When an author writes a story to persuade us, we ask ourselves these questions. Did the author try to change my opinion? Did the author try to convince me of something? If so, the author is writing to persuade. Now, if the author writes the story to inform us of something, these are the questions we're going to ask. Did the author give me facts? Did the author try to teach me something? If so, the author is writing to inform. And lastly, after we read a story, we think of, did the author try to entertain me by writing this book? And we ask ourselves these questions. Did the author try to make me laugh? Did the author try to tell me a story? If so, the author is writing to entertain. Now, as I read this story today, I want you to think of why the author wrote the story. Did the author write the story to persuade us, inform us, or entertain us? Okay, so be thinking of that as I read this book. And this book that I'm going to read to you today is called Fishy Facts, and it's written by Miranda. What I like about this book is there are real photographs in this book. We talked about that a lot of times in nonfiction books. There are real photographs. So that might give you a clue right there. This is a nonfiction book. Fishy Facts. Some hungry fish feed on other fish. If you were a hungry fish, could you tell which fish would make a good meal? Take a look at that photograph. Some fish have spots on their tails. They look as if they have 2 sets of eyes. If you were a hungry fish, could you tell the head from the tail? Some fish have stripes. These fish look like puzzles. If you were a hungry fish, could you tell which piece to eat first? And look at how colorful these fish are and what great designs they have on their bodies. Some fish are long and thin. These fish look like seaweed. If you were a hungry fish, could you tell the difference between the fish and the weeds? Some fish have spines. These fish look as if they would be unpleasant to eat. Unpleasant meaning not so good to eat. Imagine eating a fish like that. That would not feel too good, right? If you were a hungry fish, would you take a bite of that fish? I don't think so. Very prickly. Some fish look like rocks. These fish are not easy to find. If you were a hungry fish, could you tell where they are hiding? This is really hard for me to tell. Take a good look. They are camouflaged very well in those rocks. See if you can find them. They're hidden very well. Some fish have bright colors. These fish look good to eat, but they have a bad taste. If you were a hungry fish, would you take a chance? Some fish can't protect themselves very well on their own. They stay near other fish that sting. If you were a hungry fish, would you risk getting stung? I wouldn't. I wouldn't at all. I would stay near one of these guys that would protect me. Some fish have friends that bite. These fish stay safe as they ride along with a bigger fish. If you were a hungry fish, would you get close? Not me. And see these fish right here, how they're staying close to the big fish that bites, so they are protected. Some fish have big teeth. These fish look as if they could bite back. If you were a hungry fish, would you risk getting bitten? Look at those teeth. Very sharp. I wouldn't risk getting bitten. Some fish have spots and poisonous spines. These fish look dangerous. If you were a hungry fish, would you swim away? Probably. Take a look at their poisonous spikes. See those? And their spines? Poisonous spines right here. Those are all poisonous. Hungry fish feed on other fish, but sometimes finding a good meal is not easy. Now, I want you to think about this story that we just read and either talk to your brother or your sister, your mom or dad, or just think about it yourself and think about the author's purpose. Why do you think the author wrote this story? What was his meaning for writing this? Do you think he was persuading us? Was this author, actually it's a she, was she persuading us? Was she informing us? Or was she entertaining us? Think about this story. I'm going to give you a minute. Tell someone near you what you think your answer is. Now, if you answered, let me find it. If you answered inform, you are correct. Give yourself a pat on the back and kiss your brain. Because the author, throughout this whole book, gave us facts about fish and how fish find food. So this whole book was about information. It was an informational text. So the author's purpose for writing this book was to give us information. So it is to inform us. So the piece of pie was inform. So if you guessed that right, high five. All right, until next time, remember, the reasons why an author writes a book are to persuade, inform, and entertain. Have a great day, boys and girls.